Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Hakuoki Blossoms in Kazama's route, and we're at the end. I mean, we're in chapter 4. We've already had our 2 choices. I'm not really sure this chapter could go on for like another 40 minutes. It could go on for 5 minutes. I'm not sure. So, we'll see, but I'm thinking that this will probably be the last part. I'm thinking we'll get our good ending, and then we'll do our 2 bad endings, and then look at the gallery, because I can't imagine we're about to find out that they all died and blah blah blah. I can't imagine this being like another hour-long chapter before we get to our end. So, anyway, June 18th, 1869. The government of Hakodate, after weeks of resistance, finally tendered their terms of surrender over to the newly formed Meiji government. Over a year and a half removed from the events of the Battle of Toba-Fushimi, the war was drawing to a close. Our arrival in Goryokaku was greeted with a bevy of familiar faces, forlorn by the news of surrender. Oh, they're not dead! Look! Shimada! Soma! Oh my goodness! I can't believe all of you are safe! That's so sad, they're the only ones that lived. Yukamura, since when have you been in Izo? Our ship docked just the other day. It's been too long. There's so much I have to tell you guys. Wait a sec. So just because you had something to tell us, you came all the way out here? You're crazy. I'm not doing Soma's voice right, but whatever. What if a stray bullet were to hit you, and you got seriously hurt? The hell were you thinking? Enough of your petulant whining. As long as she's under my protection, there shall be no such threats to her safety, especially ones as harmless as you describe. Hey, you're... aren't you the lord of a demon clan? State your business with Yukamura. Actually, Kazama was my escort to Izo. You're sure about that? You don't have to lie for his sake. He's not keeping you hostage, is he? It was natural for Soma and Shimada to have aroused suspicions regarding Kazama, considering he plagued them for years as an enemy. Ooh. The two Shinsengumi men looked at one another with puzzled expressions. So, are the men here what remains of the Shinsengumi? What happened to Hijikata and Nomura? Soma slumped his shoulders, biting into his lip. My stomach sank, anticipating his answer from the immediacy of his soured body language. Nomura didn't make it. We lost him back in Miyako Bay. Nothing could soften the blow of someone notifying you that your friend passed away. No matter how many times we were given news of someone's passing, it absolutely shattered me. And Hijikata? Some of the Northern Alliance forces were pushed back by the Imperial Army at Benden Fortress, so Hijikata left to lead the reinforcements. We received word that he too was killed in action during the battle. Even Hijikata, the fearless leader of the Shinsengumi, who picked up the pieces after the execution of his beloved predecessor, was not spared from this war. We have yet, mind you, to discover Hijikata's remains. All we have for now is some information we coaxed from an Imperial soldier who encountered Hijikata. Oh, we have to have a sad flashback! Oh, no! Hey, who the hell are you? What business have you got with our troop? What business do you have? What business do I have, you ask? I should kill you right now for wasting my time with that question. When the commander of the Shinsengumi, Toshizo Hijikata, comes knocking, then you better answer the fucking door. I love you, Hijikata. Even in your last moments, you're amazing. I'm gonna kill every last one of you impotent bastards until there's none left. See you in hell. Oh, from what Shimada was describing, it was the most fitting end for Hijikata that I could have imagined, right? Except for when we get to live happily ever after with him. By virtue of his unstoppable rage, Hijikata lifted the Shinsengumi by the scruff of its neck and led its front line proudly. The remnants of the Shinsengumi persevered in honor of the memory of his famous last stand. Soma, was it? Or it is that you're responsible for tendering the Shinsengumi's surrender. And now that you've been promoted to chief. It's so funny. He's been promoted to chief, but Shimada's been around longer. Like, whatever. What compelled you to do something like that? Surely it scares you to think you're a headman but a pike, just like Kondo's did. And he's like, what? Oh, shock? No, he knows. They all know. We may have been fighting the Imperial Army all the same, but our situation's a little different. There's no reason to punish any of us, since we didn't commit any crimes. Besides, the burden of responsibility was there for the taking, and someone needed to step up. Kazama beamed with pride as he stared down at Soma's resolute expression. Then he smirked wryly before speaking. And just what they need. Another fool who can't think 2 steps ahead, huh? Look alive, kid. The war's over. The way you're doing things, you might as well etch a line on your neck so they know where to swing. Hey! What's that supposed to mean? Calm down, Soma. Kazama doesn't mean any harm by that. Judgment time's coming up for them. That means we need to leave. And now. Oh, Kazama! Yes, please go with him, Yukumura. We have not much time before the Imperial forces arrive. Well then, Shimada, Soma, please take care of yourselves. Will do. The feeling is mutual, Yukumura. This may be the last time we see one another, but be safe, and see you in the next life. They sent us off warmly, waving in the distance with pleasant smiles, but I knew their path was not an easy one. The Shinsengumi were branded as war criminals. For Soma, who had willingly assumed the rank of chief in the ensuing vacuum of power, his fate seemed almost cruelly preordained. I felt nothing but respect for them, however. Well, he's going to go to prison, so that's basically... Well, I mean, I'm just guessing if that's what happened, because that's what happened in his route, you know? They held on to an inspiring devotion to the name of the Shinsengumi and what it stood for. August 1869. You gonna find out what happened to them? Nearly 2 months had passed since Kazama and I first set foot on the island of Izo. We were in the heart of summer, but the weather could have convinced me otherwise. My bones were soothed by gentle winds coasting from the sea. After separating from Soma and Shimada, we tracked Hichikata's journey to Benten Fortress, hoping to uncover the whereabouts of his remains. Be like Bane, but that's so hard to say. So, after the end of last year, the former Shogunate troops were nearly 3,000 strong when they reached the shores of Izo. You know that sometimes it's like, we're just gonna bastardize that because I can't say it. So, the Imperial Army gave them a rude awakening, dwindling their forces down to 2,000 over the course of months. Investigating the reasons for their sudden decrease was a path I was confidently disinterested in pursuing. The truth, I feared, would only break my heart more. Allegedly, Imperial forces brought over 5,000 soldiers to squash any resistance punitively. The outcome of the war was determined before a single soldier set foot on the battlefield. The timeline is as follows. May 9th, 1869, Imperial forces reached the coast of Izo. June 11th, 1869, war between the Imperials and the government of Hakodate begin. June 14th, 1869, the resistance fighters surrendered at Benten Fortress with Tayan. You know, but I can't. It's so hard to say. A total of 92 men surrendered at, that place. Among them were 13 Shinsengumi warriors. June 18th, 1869, Goryokaku, the last remaining stronghold, offered their terms of surrender to the Imperial Army. The Boshin War, as the conflict later became known, between the Imperial Army and the fragments of the Tokugawa Shogunate, had ended. As for the search for Hijikata's remains, it proved to be as futile an effort as anything else in Izo. I like to believe that some generous soul, out of fear in handing over Hijikata's remains to the Imperials, honorably buried his body somewhere out of reach. I wonder if that's true. Like, did they never find him? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who knows where he, maybe he didn't die. Like, snuck away. Like, my name's John Smith. Disappeared. Not actually dead. He's like Elvis. Not actually dead. Kazama, you mentioned something to me about how humans only wage war for wealth and power, but do you honestly still believe that? Prior to our time in Izo, I was sure that he would have nodded without giving it a second thought, but there was a noticeable shift in his attitude. After killing both Father and Kaoru and witnessing the end of the Shinsengumi firsthand, seeing all that they had died for, perhaps Kazama had an epiphany, or at the very least, was more receptive to notions that he once viewed as foreign, if not beneath him. This experience has been enlightening, and the men who gave their lives in Izo were certainly exceptions to that belief. My views were upheld by the atrocities we saw back in the Battle of Toba Fushimi, but Hijikata was no fool, nor did he suffer any sort of delusions of grandeur. He fought, like any man should, to his death. Good point. I wasn't sure what sort of magic the Shinsengumi conjured to keep a hold of their resistance in the face of certain death. As Kazama had described, they were keenly aware of the odds, yet somehow were steadfast in their convictions against the Imperial Army. Whoops, sorry. Take a long look at everything around you. This place is no more than a graveyard. But to you, and the people who mattered, it's a memorial to the will and testament of the Shinsengumi's character. But, but everyone in the Shinsengumi, they failed. Some of them held a notion that their idealistic worldview would stand up to scrutiny, and that notion was proven false. They're fools for believing otherwise, and so the world went, spinning without them. As painful as it was to listen, I understood why Kazama may have felt that way, but it was something with which I totally disagreed. They were warriors. It's not like they couldn't keep up with the times. It's that they refused to do so out of principle. I'm certain they had a good reason for staying true to their convictions. It never ceases to amaze me how hastily you jump to conclusions. Listen back to what I said. I hadn't labeled them as fools out of spite. But chasing such an elusive dream is impossible. And demons don't often value upholding personal convictions, however temporal they may be. Kazama was speaking vaguely, but it was likely the greatest compliment that he could have ever given to anyone, much more in reference to the Shinsengumi. In a way, I detected a hint of envy in Kazama's statement, as if he wished there were opportunities to put his needs before the collective need of his kin. A long silence stretched between us, broken only by my timid musings. Where do you plan on going from here, Kazama? Before engaging in the bane that is human affairs, we demons lived a peaceful, secluded life. I pine quite dearly to return to that life. I tire of participating in these frivolous squabbles. I see. I hadn't ever thought to consider that Kazama, too, was a transplant in this world. How did he cope with the strife? With the pettiness of human conflict? The risk, of course, was losing touch with his concept of home in these destitute conditions. I have a lingering suspicion that it's only a matter of time until the Imperial Army seeks to dig its slimy fingers into my affairs as well. Heading back to my clan is my utmost concern, so that I may prepare my people to head into hiding where they'll be out of the humans' grasp. Back to your clan. This meant my journey with Kazama had ended, and it was time for us to part ways. Our time together was over the span of a year and a half. There was a part of myself that slid into some fantasy that the two of us would travel together indefinitely. He wants you to be his wife, so if you want to be with him, you'd be like, so that wife thing's still up for grabs? I'm just saying. What about you, girl? Each of my affairs were concluded. In a way, I was without direction or purpose. I was, in no small measure, alone. I haven't decided yet. I do think, however, that I'll stick around in Izo for the time being. I don't want this memory to fade. I'm not ready to relinquish the resting place of the Shinsengumi. While I was in the middle of answering him, Kazama brought his fingernails close to his eye level, gazing at them with disinterest. You know, in the beginning, I only expressed interest in you because you were a demon, and a female at that. Huh? But fate brought me closer to you, and by extension, the Shinsengumi as well. You overcame the tragic loss of your father and brother with unexpected maturity, proving that there was more than meets the eye with you. Well, it was the first time Kazama had ever complimented me outright. In all honesty, I had no idea how to respond. I didn't really have a choice. Father, Kaoru, and the Shinsengumi, I just dealt with their losses as they came, as there was no use in dwelling on the past. No need to be modest. If I had never embarked on this quest to locate the members of the Shinsengumi with you, then I would have likely never become privy to their real selves. Who would have guessed you were capable of teaching me something, eh? Kazama was almost never one to speak bluntly with me, but this moment felt so different. It confused me at first, having become too familiar with his sardonic remarks to know if they were genuine. All of a sudden, his arms were outstretched towards me. Oh! damn! That was just a holy shit! I was like, I can't believe we didn't get a kiss, but I was thinking, you know what, maybe it'll happen, like, we'll go back to his village, in our happy end, you know, the final chapter, we'll go find him, and that'll happen then, but now he just was like, fucking, damn. By the time I realized what was occurring, his face, stunningly handsome in spite of his intimidating expression, was merely inches in front of mine. My heart fluttered like a pinwheel, barely registering that my and Kazama's lips were pressed together. Numbness trickled from the top of my head, and although I'd wanted to scream, I couldn't. Instead, my lips remained shut, vexed and mute. It was strange, though. For some reason, I hadn't minded it at all. My limbs were frozen, offering the meekest of resistances in the form of no movement at all. His lashes tickled the side of my cheek, and only up close had I noticed his immaculate skin. Kazama flicked his tongue gently inside of my mouth, which was softer than I anticipated. Before I knew it, Kazama and I were locked in an intimate throw. There was an inexorable draw to Kazama, an energy that tingled my face just from the touch of his lips. All of my deepest longings were awakened by the heat in our sensuous kiss, making me incapable of focusing on anything else. Just when I thought my heart would burst, he relinquished his hold on my body just as quickly as he had imposed it. For a moment, I was totally speechless, perhaps wide-eyed enough to elicit a small smile from Kazama. Let this kiss stand as proof that I do not consider you a stranger. Where did that come from? I somehow managed to escape my stupor long enough to ask him a question. As soon as you're ready, come find me. Wait, so you mean... Why was he behaving so cryptically? Like, as soon as you're ready, come find me. That's sexy as shit! Okay. All of this felt so unclear to me. I was still reeling from our kiss. I struggled to form words, much less a sentence. Kazama, however, was unconcerned with my incoherent ramblings and continued on without bringing attention to my blushed cheeks. And if you don't, well, then I'll come for you. Damn. Although we had accomplished everything we set out to do in Izo, it seemed as though Kazama had some unfinished business of his own to attend to. Granted, I wasn't wholly unopposed to the idea. As we bookended one chapter of our lives, it was time to start anew, and for the first time in years, I was ready for whatever life had to throw at me. I could finally shed my skin and blossom with nothing to tether me down. That makes it sound like you think your Shinsengumi boys are tethering you down. That's so sad. I know what she means, like the weight of demons chasing after us and her father trying to kill us and the Furies and like all that stuff. Like, yeah, see, like, that's what I was afraid of. We would have ended up like the last part and be like, fuck. So, this is the last part. We're going to get the good ending and the bad endings together, which I don't like doing, but there's really no way around that. Unless we make two really short parts, which, you know, kind of sucks, so. We're just enjoying this, so I got nothing to say right now, so. I like how they show random backgrounds. Like, they're like, let's show the background. It's like, so weird. You're like, you could just show us all the CGs. We're just here for the CGs. Pissed face. It's kind of funny. Oh. I do like the way they did him because, like, you know, you come across as like such a fucking asshole, and then his path, you're like, he's not that bad, but he still seemed kind of cold. But like, you were like, but it's just a veneer, you know, it's just like the outer layer, and he's like, yeah, whatever, and you're like, but you're actually soft on the inside. But he's still crunchy. He's like a pretzel, you know. It's like just always crunchy. Like it's crunchy on the outside, crunchy on the inside, but it's still delicious. You know what I mean? Like. Okay, so like a totally hard. You know what I mean though? Like it's not like Hijikata's a total fucking marshmallow, you know. He's a little bit of a marshmallow, but it's different with him because he's soft on the inside, but it's still like a crunchy kind of softness. Like he's still brisk and like whatever, but like that's his softness. So it's just like you have to you have to know him enough to know like, oh, that's you being sweet, calling me an idiot. Love it. You know what I mean? Anyway, final chapter, January 1870. Jesus. I was alone, bundled in a thick blanket during a blustery winter day in my childhood home in Ito. My, it's freezing. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Vapor escaped my mouth with each exhale. I guess you didn't find Kazama. My restlessness was further spurred by this incessant urge to clean the aging homestead. So I entered the chilly yard, gathering the dead leaves scattered along the grass into a neat pile. The season brought with it festivities that had the town buzzing, and I watched townspeople hustling up and down the street. After returning to Ito, my first order of business was writing Dr. Masumoto a heartfelt letter. He replied immediately, expressing sincere relief after having been notified of my safety. Dr. Masumoto made a point of iterating that I could reach out to him should I ever require help in a tight bind, which warmed my heart. My second order of business was writing to Sen. She insisted that I reside with her in Yase village, but although I appreciated her generous offer, I refused. It was because I'm waiting for Kazama to find me. Just as I was pondering to myself... Oh. I was like, who is this? Like, anyway. Oh, Spacey! You have no idea how grateful I am for your help. Do you remember me? You inspected my child's cold. All of a sudden, I was approached by my next-door neighbor, who sung words of praise to me. Oh, please. It was no problem at all. How is he doing? Oh, splendidly. Back when Kodo closed his clinic, and I was told that you left for Kyoto, I was so worried about you. But seeing you here safe brings a tear to this old woman's eye. Oh, Tanaka's the lady. Okay.
Seeing you here brings a tear to this old woman's eye.
I didn't say Mrs. Tanaka, it just says Tanaka. I don't know that Tanaka's a lady. I don't know. Sounded like your last name. I don't know.
Enough about that, though. You aren't spending the winter here alone, are you?
She's an old lady with like a 10-year-old. Well, yes. Sadly, my father passed away, so I'll have to make do.
But living alone as a woman is so dangerous. The war might be over, but evil always lurks when you least expect it to. So what's next for you, then? Do you still plan on running the clinic from this house?
That's something I've yet to figure out myself.
Whatever you do, it can't be easy to do it alone, can it? See, I have an idea. Why don't I find a nice man to introduce you to? Couldn't hurt.
Well...
You see, right around the corner from Ryogoku Bridge, there's a quaint little medicine shop there. One of the clerks is...
Oh, sure. I shall check it out when I get the chance.
Are you sure? The two of you would be perfect. Same age, I think, too. Well, a pretty girl like you should have no problem finding suitors. So please let me know whenever you're ready, and I'll be happy to help.
My neighbor flashed a bright grin, nodding her head politely before waving me goodbye. Old people. It was kind of her to express an interest in my well-being and all, but finding suitors, huh? Maybe it is time for me to start thinking about settling down. I still had some wounds to lick, so I found myself a little too preoccupied to worry about it just yet. Am I the only one like, bitch, aren't you waiting for Kazama to come find you because you couldn't find him? You're like, I didn't know where you were, so I figured you would find me. You know what? He's meanwhile sitting there like, it's been like a year. I told her to come find me, and she did. Okay, it's been like 6 months, right? Because it was like June of like last year. It's been like 6 months, and she didn't come find me. Is she not like interested in me? And you crushed his heart. He was hoping you'd come find him, and you didn't. He's heartbroken as much as he possibly can be, you know, because he's... If I had to marry someone, then... Yep. Yeah. I was suddenly thrust into a flashback. Something about my conversation with my neighbor evoked that moment in Izo. I mean, we were together for almost 2 years. Kazama was so patient with me during the tumultuous period following my separation from the Shinsengumi. When I lost father in Kyoru, he was a shoulder that I could cry on and offered me words of comfort. He even escorted me to Izo and stood beside me as we witnessed the end of the Shinsengumi. I'm not sure if the memories we shared together could ever be bested by another man, as if anyone else could ever understand all that I'd been through. Although Kazama told me that he would come for me whenever my heart was ready, so much time had passed that I began to wonder if he truly meant it. He said the demons always keep their promises. Just as I muttered to myself. I knew at first when she was like out there raking leaves, I'm like, he's going to show up. But then it was her neighbor, and I'm like, wait for it. Here you go. Huh? Was I hallucinating? I rubbed my eyes incredulously, but the image didn't change. He was here, standing in front of me, appearing like a specter from an ethereal mist. It was something out of a dream. And then he spoke. Spacey, I've come for you. As soon as I heard his familiar, arrogant tone, the hairs along the back of my neck stood up. That kimono was fucking nice. That thing's fucking pretty. What's with the look? And this is the warmest welcome you can muster after being deprived of my presence for months. Oh, there was no mistaking him. Almost 6 months had passed since we spoke, yet he was his usual callous self. That's what we like about him, though. He's like, what, this is the best you can do? And you're like, you're such an asshole, but I love it because I know that there's something squishy on the inside. Honestly, I couldn't expect any less from Kazama. So, you really did come for me. All of the tears that I thought were dried and left in Izo began welling up once more. I wanted nothing less than for him to see me in such a state, but my heart was untied. Nothing could be done. Hadn't I mentioned the demons always keep their word? Or do you still doubt me? Well, whether or not I believe you is one thing, but you can't blame me for starting to worry. I mean, I've received no correspondence from you in half a year's time. My eyes shifted away from Kazama, and I rushed to wipe my tears from my puffy, swollen eyes. I was my only friend. I was my only friend throughout this period, save for the harsh and lonesome winter. Tell me how much you missed me, eh? I never said that. There was no hiding how much I had missed him. But he was so frustratingly smug about it, as if it were his intention to keep me waiting all along, which made me hesitant to admit it. Just as I was about to offer my own snarky response, Kazama stopped me with an outstretched arm. Fucking A. Then he drew me in closer, pressing his lips against mine, just like an Izo. Instinctively, my head jerked backwards. Oh, her derp face. Just what do you think you're doing? What, are you deaf? I've come to claim you. That's sexy as fuck. Because we're okay with this. Because we're in love with him, but like if I came to claim you when he first did it, you're like, bitch, step off. Now it's like, yeah, no, it's sexy, I like it. I froze. His crimson eyes beamed in front of me. A well of emotion stirred tirelessly in my stomach, glancing back and forth between euphoric joy and trepidation. My heart was pulled in 1,000 directions. Just so you're aware, I've begun preparations to migrate the Kazama clan to a new home. A place which, if everything goes as planned, would be out of the Meiji government's reach. A safe place. You're the last piece of the puzzle. I'll tolerate no resistance. So come with me at once. Hold on a minute. I can't just up and leave everything so sudden. Sudden? What's sudden about it? I'm not here to play games. You kept me waiting for 5 months. Actually, not just 5 months. If you add up all the time I wasted chasing you when you were under the Shinsugumi's custody, it's even longer. It really fucking is. Ugh. I would think that our last interaction would have changed things, but he was pompous as ever. I was so aghast with embarrassment that I had nothing to say, as if he would listen to my reply. But while the world around us sped into a new age, Kazama was a constant, unbending and unbroken, and always by my side. Well, what's it gonna be? Are you coming with me or not? I searched inside myself for the right words to say, leaving an awkward space to which Kazama thinned his scarlet eyes gleefully. There was no need to bother with asking, was there? The answer was so clear to me all this time. He slowly closed the distance between us even more than he already had. His strong, thick arms covered me in warmth. Spacey. Then... He forced his lips upon mine. But this was different. It was as if he possessed a sixth sense to read all of my thoughts intuitively and on command. But I knew he was telling the truth. From the moment we parted in Izo, my heart yearned for his tender embrace. It was a feeling that I cherished. Kazama might have been a pain, but he was my pain, and I was all the better for it. I love it. I do feel bad that his whole route was just chasing after the Shinsengumi, but still. Yay! Well, we've got our complete CG gallery. We don't even need to do the bad endings, to be honest. It's not like we get CGs for them, but we're going to do them anyway. Um, 'Cause daddy. Yeah, daddy. It's so fucking bad. Oh, I love it. Okay. Um, I mean, because I just don't think the bad endings are really going to be, I don't think they're going to take like a half an hour because there's only two. So it's kind of like we could just end this part here and then do a whole separate part with just the bad endings so that you have the touching, beautiful, happy end. You know, like we do everything. We stop with the good ending and then we go and we do the bad. I think a couple of times we've done we're going to read the final chapter before we do the bad endings, but I try to keep the good endings separate. But I mean, we can end this part here and then we do the bad ending, but I don't think they're going to take that long, so. If they take a long time, I'll just edit these parts. Anyway. Yeah. Okay, chapter 4. Low romance. Okay. May 1869. So this is the unrequited love ending. So we probably won't ever see him again, basically. So. Skip. Skippity skip, 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 skip. Skipping through the chapter. This is the part about the bad endings that takes the longest, is skipping through the chapter. I feel like that is like a petulant child face. Nothing good could come from impatience, so it's best for you to relax in the meantime. You're the one who said that to me, Kazama, back in Aizu. I looked at Kazama squarely in the face. Sweat trickled on the back of my neck until he shut his eyes, forming his mouth into a thin grin. I see. It pleases me to see that you're finally gaining some sense, girl. I know where I stand here. I recognize that I'm powerless in this situation. All that I can do is prepare myself for the next step accordingly, whenever that moment comes. And of course, find some means of repaying you and Amagiri for all of your hard-fought efforts. Hard-fought efforts. Quite admirable of you, really. Your growing self-awareness has not gone unnoticed. Okay. I'm just gonna guess if we have low romance, maybe we don't get our little kissy thing and he just like, okay, bye, and leaves us, and then we just never see him again. And I was lonely waiting for him to come, but I had no idea where he was. Because the thing is we have no idea. Oh, we could find out from Sen, I'm sure. Like, she could have gone after Kazama. You know what I mean? But I think in those, like, 6 months, she's like, she was waiting for him to come. You know what I mean? But it's like, I wonder, like, normally you'd be like, yeah, let me go find him. Oh, interesting. Well, this is fast. Kazama and I scurried through a storm of bullets, flying through barrels and tree trunks, counting ourselves as lucky for having survived it all. We kept low to the ground, sprinting from one hiding place to the next to reach the Shinsengumi safely. Oh my god, that's so fucking pretty. As we arrived in the vicinity of Goryokaku, it was dusk. What remained of the sun was dwindling over the horizon, vibrant hues smattered across a purple sky. This fucking CG, like the background's beautiful. I quickly realized that we were stepping over corpses strewn haplessly along the floor, and I flinched. Oh god, we're gonna find Hijikata, aren't we? Look, there's an imperial insignia on his sleeve. Right there. That might be the Shogunate's work. Shogunate's work. But it doesn't look like they suffered any bullet wounds. Instead of signs that their bodies had been pelted by projectile fire, as I had seen in other battles, I noticed their bodies bore deep scars from katana wounds. I started to wonder how all of these imperial soldiers were subdued with only swords. Just as the thought crossed my mind, It's fucking Hijikata. We're gonna see him in his dying day, aren't we? That's so fucking Hijikata right now. Hmm. I'm gonna bet anything, so I'm just gonna read it because I'm pretty. Huh. Surprised to see you've dragged your sorry ass all the way to Izo. That voice. Yep. I know he was a Fury in his route, but he's a Fury in this route too? Did we know that? I don't think we knew that. Hijikata? Toshizo Hijikata, 3. The Shinsengumi's fearless leader who drank the water of life following a battle with Imperial forces. Although I felt some relief in recognizing the man standing in front of us as Hijikata. Yukamura came to join in the festivities, eh? His hair had turned stark white, his eyes glowing menacingly in a shade of scarlet. Oh my god, Kazama is not gonna fucking kill Hijikata, I can't. As if that weren't enough to intimidate me, he was coated in an astonishing amount of blood. Part of me actually found him unrecognizable, and I believed his mind had succumbed to his affliction, resulting in some deranged, mindless fury. It didn't take you long to accept your fate, did it? Kazama delivered his words scathingly, despair hidden behind a veneer of anger. The two of us discussed the Shinsengumi to great lengths throughout the course of our pursuit, but neither of us, Kazama especially, had ever anticipated him to consume the water of life, nor sacrifice his humanity for the sake of victory. Well, according to you, we've been fakes from the start. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. Doesn't mean a damn thing if the Shinsengumi loses, though. Hijikata wore an eerie grin, shifting his feet into a stance as he unsheathed his blood-stained sword. Goryokaku will fall tomorrow. Killing me to satisfy your bitterness about having been thoroughly embarrassed is asinine. Spare me. I got more on my mind. Like how I refused to yield to those sons of bitches who killed Kondo. You can count me out. Hijikata! I was speechless. No, you weren't. You just said his name. Hijikata had all but given up living beyond this war. Why was he so willing to relent? He lived, and the others hadn't. It befuddled me to think he would dispose of himself so wantonly. The curtain may have been closing, but he was no stagehand. He was the key player. However, Kazama accepted Hijikata's offer, drawing his sword out from its sheath as well. The sad ending music is like playing right now. Kazama, why? Step back. No, I can't! Kazama had ventured with me in search of the Shinsengumi for the better part of an entire year. At some point, I thought he was beginning to feel some sense of sentiment in regards to Hijikata, who valiantly led the Shinsengumi through thick and thin. Why must the two of you fight? Kazama hadn't even blinked. He kept his glare fixed on Hijikata, his eyes fuming with rage as he pondered how to kill his opponent. Is it because Hijikata became a fury? Do you feel obligated as a demon to exterminate every fury you come across? No. Then why? My attempts to penetrate Kazama's resolve were useless, and it only seemed to stoke his fire. You may think me cruel, but this so-called leader is nothing more than a fake, a veritable disgrace. He thinks so highly of himself that now he's challenging me to a battle to the death. There's no sense in delaying the inevitable, and who am I to deny him the death he so eagerly desires? Kazama always held a low opinion of humans, never missing an opportunity to sneer at their way of life. But now he viewed himself as an agent of change, one to help facilitate Hijikata's supposed death wish. As an outsider, I interpreted his decision as one made not as a human, not as a demon, but as a samurai, a true warrior. His manner of accepting Hijikata's offer to duel bordered on respectful, conversation mutually understood by two men with nothing to lose. Under circumstances like these, did I truly have any room to object? Conversation's all well and good, and I don't have much time left. Mind if we get this over with? Bring it, fake. Because if he just dies as a fury, but if like Kazama kills him, he's like, I don't have much time left. I'm pretty much gonna just like disappear. But like if Kazama kills him, he's like, good, dead hero's death. It's like, oh god. The two warriors clutched their swords tightly, trading glares that could paralyze a lesser man. I don't really want either one of them to kill the other. Is that like Then, Hijikata was the first to move. Ugh. Kazama's heightened perception aided him as he deftly intercepted Hijikata's lunge instantaneously. Hijikata showed no signs of faltering, however. Yeah! I can't growl in his voice. There was purpose in Hijikata's movements, putting his full weight behind each swing as if to signal a larger desire to kill Kazama rather than to survive the fight. He charged at Kazama with relentless furor. This is how Hijikata fights. He was a demon, but only in name, an unstoppable force that spent every iota of blood and sweat for a shot at victory in battle. After suffering defeat after defeat, as well as the deaths of his closest comrades, many of whom he had fought beside for years, he persevered. Ugh. Hijikata swung horizontally, overshooting Kazama's head and exposing his chest. Kazama exploited this with a swift jab, piercing through Hijikata's chest cavity. A mouthful of blood was spat from Hijikata's mouth, who seemed visibly unfazed before he returned the favor. Oh my god, they kill each other? Oh my god. This is fucking... Before Kazama had a chance to parry, Hijikata rushed to slice along the length of Kazama's neck. Both men were nursing serious wounds, and my hair stood as I watched blood soak into their tight uniforms. It was only by the grace of sheer will that these two could still stand, let alone continue to fight. Looks like we're at an impasse. Tch, you idiot. Your delusions are more impressive than I thought. Only you are struggling at the moment. Say your prayers. I grow tired of toying with you. What an honor for you, really. Imagine being blessed at the end of your life with the kiss of my steel against your accursed flesh. In the next moment, both men kicked at the ground simultaneously, leaving cracks in the earth below them. All I could make out of their figures were their shadows crossing in midair, followed by the electrifying hiss of their katanas smacking against one another. It was an awe-inspiring display. Two warriors who were little more than candles at the ends of their wicks, putting their all into one last strike. For a second after, their bodies were suspended in the air like they had been frozen in time, until their bodies dove into the ground with a dull thud. Did they literally just kill each other? The following day, after weeks of arduous fighting, the government of Hakodate tendered their surrender to the Imperial Army. Really? It's just like they both fell to the ground, and then blah blah blah. They surrendered, and so they're both dead. Like the fuck? What the hell kind of glossing over was that? I stood at the edge of Nanayahama Bay, where only a day previously I arrived with Kazama, with a heart full of hope, staring at the waves crashing on the shore. Hijikata made himself abundantly clear. He had no desire to live in a country governed by the Imperial Army, those responsible for Kondo's death. Kazama had seemed more than willing to oblige him, partly out of a personal vendetta, but mostly as a gesture of good faith between two seasoned warriors. But he hadn't survived the descent into the aftermath of their battle, lying limp next to his sword on the cold ground. For the entirety of their existence, the Shinsengumi committed themselves to an idealized version of what it truly meant to be a warrior. How fitting, then, for the Shinsengumi's last duel to be with their greatest adversary, Kazama, a living embodiment of their most coveted values. Each party played a pivotal role in the outcome of the war, yet history would immortalize neither. Their myths would soon become little more than whispers. Except, to me, I was the only witness to their respective ends. The gravity of this burden was not lost upon me. I will never forget what happened here. No matter what, until my dying breath. I will keep this memory safe, preserved in my mind's eye for eternity. I shut my eyes, listening to the rhythm of the waves, beating against one another on the rising tide. I could see him. I saw Kazama, his golden hair flowing gracefully amidst the ocean breeze, and his crimson eyes staring back at me. I could have sworn he was smiling. Harsh, man. That is fucking harsh. We're not gonna watch the sad end credit thing. Oh my god, wow. Okay, well. So we're gonna get our bad ending now. I mean, I'm surprised. That ending was like a 15-minute ending almost. Like, So if this one's really long, then we could have actually done this on its own part, but, you know, too late now. I mean, it's not. I could split the parts up, but I don't really feel like putting in that kind of effort. Like, low romance. The difference, obviously, is like literally one choice on this. Like, obviously, because we chose will you stay with me to the bitter end the last time, and now we're going to choose I promise you I'll return, and we're probably going to end up dying. Well, obviously, the only difference is like having low romance. We should at least be able to skip through this faster. I should have checked. I should have noticed. I should have been paying attention because I'm so used to having to do this each time for the route. But I should have realized, and I could have saved a chapter 4 when we got to the last choice, and we wouldn't have to skip through all this. I wasn't really paying attention because this format with just the unrequited love ending and the bad ending is basically the same format as Kyoto Wins. You know, but every other path is different. You get the unrequited love ending, and then you go through the chapter and you have to skip through because you got to choose different things. And there's the, game over kind of bad ending. I mean, there's still bad endings, but it's just different, I guess. You know what I mean? Each time. So, like, this one was done differently. So, I mean, that only took, like, a minute. So, and I added, I promise I'll return. I'd be lying if I had said that I was in no need of Kazama's support. However, up until now, the remnants of the Shinsengumi had committed everything into fighting this war. So I too must see this finale take shape, alone. After making up my mind, I shook Kazama's arm off of me. It took everything inside of me to confront my timid heart, and I sheepishly turned around to face Kazama. I promise that I'll return to you. So please wait for me here, Kazama. I know it's been said, but thank you for everything. Kazama's response seemed to hang on the tip of his tongue, but nothing came out. His reaction was disturbing enough for me to call myself and my motives into question once more. So I kicked the sand as I broke off into a sprint. My destination was Goryokaku. It was here that I would presumably find the Shinsengumi. I overheard a conversation on the ship about how Goryokaku was a few clicks southeast from Nanehama Bay, which was enough for me to go off. That's it. Each step I took was scored by the bombast of deafening cannon fire. I was thinking so much when we got in the good ending and we landed there and there was cannon fire or whatever, and I was like, we haven't said anything about being bombastic or anything yet in this path. And I was like, I'm not going to say anything. Here it is. I was waiting for it. What was more worrying, however, was that the sounds were closer than when we had arrived. I was getting closer to the epicenter of the fighting, closer to where the Shinsengumi men may have been drawing their final breaths. I shut my eyes, trying to focus my thoughts amidst the chaotic sounds, and continued through the forest. Aye, who's there? A soldier cried out. Oh, so it's not Hijikata. Okay. Hey, who's there? A soldier cried out from somewhere in my vicinity, and I hid almost immediately. I heard his rifle cock, making my hair stand. Who could it be? Had he encountered an Imperial soldier? Or was he a former Shogunate rebel? I know I heard someone running out here. Out now where I can see ya! It felt beyond the realm of possibility that they would simply give up their search while I kept hiding behind a tree. So I had to think of worst-case scenarios. If they were Imperial soldiers, then I could have possibly told them that I had arrived via Satsuma vessel, and they would spare my life. I had no way of predicting the truth, however, which troubled me as my time slowly ran out. My throat was scratchy, so I gulped my saliva. Without a second more to think, I leapt up. Doesn't look like you're a civilian, judging by your uniform. Who are you? Just as I was about to explain myself, a stampede of footsteps came straight for us. I cupped my hands over my mouth in fear. I heard some voices over here. It sounds like we caught ourselves some Shogunate rats, boys. Hey, that's... We're gonna get shot, aren't we? Behind us, rifles were being cocked and loaded. And then... everything went silent, save for the crack of rifles firing off in succession. Yep, we're dead. One of the bullets ripped through my chest. Oh! My knees were wobbly, suddenly unable to support my weight, and I dropped to the ground. I came all the way to Izo. I truly thought that I had reached the Shinsengumi. that all of my strife and pain had been worth it. Yep. I'm so sorry, Kazama. He went through all of the effort to grant me safe passage to Izo after weeks of diligent searching, but I'm unsure of how much longer I've got left. A blinding light flooded my eyes like I'd been swallowed by a vortex, and then darkness. Well, there you go. Bad ending. All right. Well, that was it. So that's Kazama's route, guys. We're gonna obviously now go to the I was like the guide, the gallery. We're going to the gallery. That's where we're going to go. To go here, check Kazama's. Oh my god, guys, we're at the end of this game. We just have Hijikata left to do. I don't know, like, oh my god. Or anyway, so that one's got 4, that one's got 2, that one's got 2, that one's got 2. Okay. So. Oh shit, that's not what I meant to do. That's like the only one we have where he's by himself. You know what I mean? Which is unfortunate, but that's gonna have to be our end one. Cause like, oh, we can like zoom out, can't we? No, zoom out. There you go. I mean, oh, the light looks so pretty. Like the way it like, nice effects. I hate that pouty, like, the pouty child face is like, so like, his face looks the same in like almost everything. He just has this, like, are you fucking kidding me face? Like, I love it. I love this. We could also just kind of zoom it, crop her out of this one, maybe. Can we crop her out of this one? Can we crop her out of this one? Yeah, we can! That's perfect! All right. That one's kind of cute, though. This one? This one did have a second. No, it didn't. It did not. Okay, interesting. It was this one that had 2. Like, he doesn't have a lot of... We don't get a lot of CGs with him. You know what I mean? Like, he's not bad with CGs, but not as many. Because this is just, like... I just want to, like... No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to do this. We can just... There we go. Whoop, no. And a little more. There we go. There you go, guys. That's a nice one. It's a little blurry when you zoom it in like that, but we can't otherwise crop her out, so we can just focus on that. That's what we're gonna focus on, right? Anyway, so yeah, tomorrow we will start Hijikata's route, and we will end this shit. Oh, I say that, but it sounds like I'm like end the day. No, it's gonna be sad. It's gonna be sad because I'm not recording anything else, and you know, like I'm recording this and I'm trying to finish it all before Christmas. So by the time you see this, oh shit, when is this going up? Oh my god, one of Kazama's parts went up on Christmas, didn't it? Which part went up on Christmas? And I totally forgot. Oh my god, the second part of his route. Like, what is this, the 27th? Oh, so, sorry. Hope you guys had a nice Christmas. I was going to try to make sure that whatever part I recorded that was going up on Christmas, I said Merry Christmas to anyone who celebrates Christmas, but I forgot because I just, you know. So, anyway, I hope you had a good Christmas. So yeah, like, this one's short because this is only like, what, 4 parts, I think? So, yeah, a little bit shorter than normal. Wow. Poor Kazama, you got the short end of the stick. It's because we didn't have to give you blood, so we didn't waste a whole hour going through all that and the bad endings, really. You know what I mean? Because... So, yeah, well, whatever. It is what it is. I do feel bad for him because, like, his whole part was chasing the Shinsengumi, but he got his happy ending. He got to keep us, right? So, I mean, I think that's great. Anyway, but yeah, we'll... There's a part of me that's going to be happy that it's done, like, we finally completed this. Like, it feels good when you complete a game. You're like, yes! But it feels sad because you're going to miss all your boys. But in this case, I'm like, I'm almost glad it's over just because I can't handle them dying constantly. This game is so making me, it's sad. But, you know, but I love them, and we've been playing Hakuoki for so fucking long. I'm gonna miss our boys. I'm really gonna miss our boys. Like, I miss them. But it's okay. So, yeah. Anyway, we have a lot. We have Hichikata's path to go through, and then we'll go, like, whatever. But it's gonna be weird because I'm gonna finish this, like, before Christmas. Obviously, because this is, like, long before I'm recording in bulk to try to get, so I can get all my Christmas stuff done that I need to do, and, like, whatever, and all this stuff. So, I'm, like, recording like a motherfucker. Like, not even funny. It's way before this is going up. Like, but yeah, so it's gonna be weird for me because I'm not gonna be playing anything for like a month. You know? You guys will have games and there might, but like I'm not gonna have anything, and it's gonna be like I'm gonna come back and be like, eh. So if you haven't watched the poll video that was posted at the beginning of December, go watch it, leave your thoughts, leave comments, whatever, because that's going to decide what we're gonna do. Maybe. You know, when I come back. So there's only a few comments on there as of right now, which by the time this video goes up, it'll probably be the same because it kind of gets lost in the ether and like nobody knows it's there because like, you know what I mean? Like it gets buried. But yeah, go check that out. I posted it on the 1st, I think, so you can easily look for it there. And then leave your thoughts and everything, and then when we come back in January after Hijikata's route, you know, we'll hopefully have a new game, but it'll be a long time for me. So it'll give me time to like process and like, you know. But anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. We will be back with Hijikata. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.